a lot of things have happened over centuries, right? Nations come, they conquer, they enslave, etc. And the remnants are left on from generation to generation. So it's hard to really finger point and say the behavior of just your generation is caused by them. It's caused really by our forefathers, etc.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
Welcome to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where we inspire, impact, and empower.
Progress is impossible if you always do things the way you have always done things.
It's time to dream big. Here's your host, Dr. Sachin Maskey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dream Big and Think Different podcast, where our mission is to inspire, impact, and empower millions of people. I'm your host, Dr. Sachin Maskey, and today we have a very special guest, another dreamer, and my friend, mentor, Simon Vandi, all the way from originally from London, and has a very inspiring story today we all need to hear. I'm very honored and privileged and very excited and thrilled to have Simon in our show today. How are you doing, Simon? And welcome to the podcast.
Sachin, it's I don't know how to explain it, but it's ecstatic just being in front of you because I know that you have done a lot of great things that has a very strong humanitarian focus to it. I'm very much aligned in your thought process, and I think it's an honor to be on your podcast. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Simon. So, by the way, how is New York treating you right now?
I love New York. It's amazing. Every time I leave, I feel like I'm leaving home. I love the people. I love the food, the energy. It's amazing. I love it.
Sure. But I was there for 4 years in 2007 to 2010. I did my residency training in Bronx, actually. And I used to go Manhattan quite often. So, yeah, welcome. So I would like to start Simon bio before we started the questions. And I would like to say Simon is a great human being whom I believe we need to have more people like Simon in the world who can change the world and make a significant impact. He wants to impact and build a legacy that lasts forever. First time I met Simon was I believe was in Cancun, the event we had in Fund Manager. Simon is a fund manager. He's a managing principal at Manhattan Global Investment. He's a founder and owner of Ecovdam, a 350-man management and technology consultancy firm. Simon Vandi is philanthropist, entrepreneur with over 24 years experience as a seasoned investment banking professional, data scientist, and compliance guru across more than 50 regulation impacting financial institutions, including hedge fund, VC firms, crypto fund manager. He has led global initiative on compliance, merger and acquisition, VC advisory, advanced derivatives, hedge fund, and data scientist for Tier 1 Fortune 550 company globally, such as Deutsche Bank, ABN, Royal Bank, Union Bank, a lot of banks. His past remit included joint accountability, merger acquisition, integration of 72 billion pound AUM. He has also brokered new business relation with revenue potential about 10 billion pound AUM. Simon has been advisor and program director trainer to 50 financial institutions across European region, and former he was a specialty coach at Investment Fund Secret that we had a last class actually this week. I was there too, by the way. Simon has a degree, bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering, master's in business system analysis and design. He has advanced qualification in investment banking, advanced derivatives, private equity, venture capital, and list goes on. I guess I wanted to make sure everyone today that what I like about Simon is basically, he says that humanity over everything. That's the main reason I got connected with Simon. Again, welcome, Simon. I would like to ask my first question that I ask all my, guests. So, basically, who is Simon Vandi, and why he is in this world?
Oh God, that's an amazing question. So, I think when you want to find out who you are, you need to connect to your inner child. my purpose has always been living in a world whereby there's equality and there's equity. So equity brings everybody at the same platform, and that means white, black, Chinese, Asian, whatever it is, male, female, everybody being at the
Sure.
same level of opportunity. That's always right, and it's always connected with me from when I was very young up to the very age. And so whatever I do in life, I always put that first as my mission. And the money element is not my priority. It just comes because of leadership. But everything I do is all about inspire and aspiring to inspire before I expire.
I like that. Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's important because we all have a purpose in our life, and I think your purpose is very very impactful. And I appreciate what you do. Wish you all the good luck, and we are all this in together. Um, so I would like to go back, Simon, in your childhood, basically all the way back, and when you were around, I don't know, 10 years old or something like that. What was your childhood dream?
So you see, my dad was a diplomat in some way, so he worked as a cultural attaché and exposing all the different cultures and in Africa to the rest of the world. And he worked with
Hmm.
many different embassies, from the US to the UK to China, and so much
Sure.
on. So, and my dad was a philanthropist. My mom was very much an advocate for women's rights as well as empowering and uplifting. And so I grew up and with a family that really became, a wider family to many kids who are disadvantaged. So I always grew up with that. I always learned to share, and I always learned to
Sure.
give and what I have without requesting something back, right? So there are two approaches to life: the ones that receive it and ones that give it. I never expect anything back from anybody, but I try to give back, seeing how I grew up. And so for my childhood was always that. Even when I
Sure.
went to school and I came back, what I learned, I would go out there on the streets and I would teach the disadvantaged kids, really. So, I mean,
Wow.
there's an amazing photo I wish I could show you, but it just kind of reflects of who I am. And it just shows me and in this photo with 10,000 kids at the back. I mean, right now, I mentor so many kids all around the world, and every single one of them connects to places where I grew up. And so I have lots of connections with Africa, lots of connections with India, with Italy, with
Hmm.
Latin America. But that's my childhood. It was always helping somebody and always trying to be a better person.
Sure. Thank you. And where was this? Where were you brought up, and where were you born? Which part of
Okay, so I
Africa?
was born in Bournemouth,
Okay.
see Bournemouth, if you know where that is. But it's a beautiful place full of old people. But it had an arts college because my dad was very much he has got an arts degree, and my mom was an interior decorator. But because of my parents and where they went, my dad is African. My mom is Lebanese, has a Lebanese origin. I grew up in.
Okay.
Have you heard of you've watched a movie called Blood Diamond, right?
Blood Diamond. I probably have.
Yeah. So there's a country called Sierra Leone. It's in West Africa. Very
Okay.
big country. So that I grew up. My childhood was spent there quite a lot,
Okay.
and then
And you
afterwards,
move.
yes, I did move there. Yeah. And I would say for 16 years of my life, I was there, and the rest was spent in different parts of the world, but 16 parts of my life. So my entire space has been. I mean, if you've ever been to India or Africa, people wear their heart on their sleeve. You learn to survive with nothing. You learn to
Of
be
course.
happy with life, and you don't like to expect anything. For them, being rich means having friends and family or anybody you can talk to, right? So you live life to the fullest, right? So
Sure.
I relate very much to that. So I spent a lot of my childhood there, and that stayed with me. Sometimes it's hard for people to get me and understand me because I give freely. They always think you want something back, right?
Yes.
But that's like, no, I don't want anything back. It's fine. It's just my persona. It's just who I am.
And that's absolutely, it's beautiful thing to have, to give back and do not expect anything. You know, I really love that. Um, so I'm trying to figure out the journey from your childhood. You're born and raised. I forgot the name of the country you said, but
Sierra,
and I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time to hear you.
Sierra Leone, Sierra Leone. It
Sierra Leone.
means like
Okay,
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone. Okay, and after that, you went to different places, right? And now you're currently in London, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. So that's good. And how long been in London for now?
Oh my God! Now you're gonna tell me to show my age. Let's just say, let's just say long enough, longer than I've ever wanted to be, but long enough.
Okay, because I wanted to come there too. I never been to London, honestly. I wanted to probably visit this year, and then we can meet, hopefully. I have another question for you, Simon.
Yes.
Who and what inspires you and drives you to be productive every day?
Okay. Um, Lots of people inspire me. I pick my mentors of any age, right? And on the financial side, my biggest mentor is Ruben McGuire, who was former head of corporate investment banking for Citigroup. And
Yep.
I have meetings with him, once a bloom, but every time I speak with him, he just really levels me up. So I like
Wow.
that. And in order for me to stay focused and remind myself of who I am so that I don't get too big for my shoes, I have lots of mentees. So the people that I mentor, the kids, keep me grounded. And
Okay.
many people are in Africa and India. And my mom is my biggest inspiration, and my sister. So my dad is dead, but my mom, has mentored over 150 kids and put at least 100 through university. So I
Wow.
really look up to her a lot. My sister, Mariama, so she is global head of child protection for Plan International, which has a base in 52 countries, and she's
Wow.
extremely smart and a advocate for kids, children. So she's also my
Uh-huh.
mentor, and I have many mentors who I meet. I mean, if I was to pick a few people, for instance, right now, I mean, I met so many people in IFS, and all of them I feel inspired by. But there's one people I consider my mentor who keeps me grounded, and that's a guy called Zaid Khan.
Oh, really?
Yes. Zaid went through so much traumatic experience in his life
Oh, really? Okay.
that people don't see. This guy was
Hmm.
very, very successful and had an accident, and it redefined his life and his focus. I mean, the
Hmm.
fund that he created gives 10% away to charity, but everything he does, I mean, he does it selflessly. And
Wow.
that reminded me, the universe aligns us with what we are supposed to do and keeps us grounded. It only
Hmm.
takes somebody who's passionate to see it. So when I came to IFS, for instance, even though I'm very well grounded, I could have run
Hmm.
around and just chased a wild dream. But when I met him, he kept me grounded, reminded me that's the universe way of reminding me of what my purpose was. And that is whatever it is that we do,
Sure.
it's all about creating change. It's all about changing the narrative of what a balanced society should be. So he keeps me grounded. He's my mentor, and many other people out there. And my niece is my mentor. I mean, she tells me when I work too much. I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, but even a
Yeah.
cat is my mentor. I've got a cat, and every time
Oh,
I
wow.
work, because I normally work about 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day, and he
Oh, wow.
jumps on my laptop and sits at it and looks at me like meow, like, come on, get over this, get a life. Oh yeah, but
um,
I mean, even you, I see you as a mentor, Sachin. So
yes, thank you. Thank you. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I agree. I think everyone teaches every situation we learn something. So I agree with that. And from everybody, even the cat. So let's go back to the main topic today that Simon is very passionate about, which is called ESG, environment, social, and governance. So I would like from Simon to tell our audience, who is very proud and naive on this, to tell basically high level what it is, why you're doing it.
yeah, so I'm gonna break it down without making it very complex because I've been told that sometimes I go too deep. and overcomplicate things. So ESG just stands for environmental, social, and governance. And really, these are pillars of change that have been set forth in order to align the world globally in meeting key standards that will help us to sustain humanity and growth. So from the environmental perspective, it's about ensuring that when we do businesses, when we implement solutions, whatever it is we do, we align with the products and services, with people, with businesses, and our methodology or our creations or our innovations that goes towards protecting the environment. The social element is about the importance of ensuring that we keep our communities focused in helping them to become better at what they do, but doing it in a way that creates inclusion, right?
Sure.
Into consideration global diversity, and that's diversity of race, diversity of color, diversity of thought process, and diversity of absolutely everything. So we take into consideration that social element, ensuring that what we do does not impact it. And the governance side, that really is just the operating model under which the social and the environment can be controlled and policed. So I want you to see the governance as a police with a framework that ensures that we put ourselves in check every single time in terms of what we do to ensure that they too are done well. They're all interconnected. So if you imagine what happened in the case of COVID, that was an environmental impact that links to the environmental side. But as a result of not doing something about it, it impacted the lives of people, right? Where lots of people died, but lots of people were out of a job, and we're still seeing the ripple effect in the economy, right? And then there's the governance element, is what should have been done by those people in charge to ensure that they could have acted faster. What should have been done to put policies and procedures in place to ensure that whether we think it's caused by something that is medically related, humanly related, or whatever it is, could have been put in place so these things have been checked, right? So, and so you can understand why it's important to really move forward that as a pillar of change for humanity. And now you see in Europe, and you also see in the United Nations and the US, everybody put in place measures that measure KPIs, that provide efficiencies, but also disclosure. So from the financial perspective, we are supposed to, we were supposed to subscribe to the mandate for sustainable disclosure from a financial perspective, i.e., what are we spending on? Does it mean those rebates, etc.? And it's very important for people to understand, especially people in finance, right, that there are people all around the world and consumers have a change in mindset, right? So it's very important for us that we think about what we do, because that potentially can impact our businesses, right? And I think we can see globally that when the impacts happen, especially with the movement for women, right? Me Too movement, or we saw that happen with George Floyd.
Yeah,
we see that banks or governments are changing their ethos. I mean, for instance, in the UK now, we have a far much more greener approach. So the UK, I would say by 2050, at least 80% will be electric cars, etc. Right?
Oh, wow.
Exactly, right? So, and then all the buildings that are built have to have an efficiency rating that really meets ESG standards. And from the social perspective, we're seeing diversity, equity, inclusion being a key mandate driver for businesses and what they do. But also, it also means that when we do put out businesses, we need to think about something that has a global reach, but also creates opportunity for people worldwide, irrespective of who they are, right? And we see now VC firms trying to change the economic of scales, because currently it's just 77% male, right? And we only see about 1% African American, 1.8%, and Middle East, that's 2.8% Latin. Now that's changing the scales, and people like ourselves are trying to do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are forgetting about our white counterpart. What we're trying to do is trying to level that up, give people the same level of opportunity, but people who will help us to connect that dots and create a level playing field with an ESG perspective.
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing you're doing. And I wanted to touch base a little bit about this diversity. I guess you mentioned a little bit about it, but equity and inclusion, DEI, what exactly this means and how you're incorporating your vision and why this is important to you.
Yeah, that's a big topic, but I think we all know that. I mean, a lot of things have happened over centuries, right? Nations come, they conquer, they enslave, etc., and the remnants are left on from generation to generation. So it's hard to really finger point and say the behavior of just your generation is caused by them. It's caused really by our forefathers, etc. And so whilst
Sure.
I can understand the anger, the frustration, and people harming about certain groups behaving, I think we need to take a positive front to educate, right? Education helps to open up our mindsets. And that's why I try to be a positive ambassador of change always, because then I reflect my kind what is needed to be done, right? But diversity and inclusion really holds on to the ethos and the ideal of giving every single person of color, of different sexual orientation, of race, of religion, the ability to be able to move things forward positively, right? Meaning that we give them equity, but we give them inclusion that allows them to be able to put forward what they bring forward as a diverse, and from a diverse perspective. And sometimes we don't see them. And the equity element, I'll give an example. I may have a company that has 50 men and 50 women, and I might say that's me supporting diversity and equity and inclusion. No, it's not. Unless if something happens. Diversity, yes, because of I have brought people forward, so diversity. But what about diversity of thought? What happens when I go into the boardroom and questions are asked, and as a male, I dominate that conversation, and when my female counterparts speak, I don't give them the ability to speak? Or what about what happens when I put together, the operating model of policies or procedures of the company, but the thought process is really dominated by the thought process of men rather than women, right? What about the thought process of somebody who's young, who is new to the company, may not have the same knowledge about, but what am I thinking about him? Because he represents the next generation, right? So it's really bringing all that within the same equation and thinking about it and ensuring that you give people the same level. I want you to imagine a fence with a football match playing at the other side. And I want you to imagine I am tall enough to see beyond the fence, but then I have, a little white girl, maybe she's only 4 foot tall, and she cannot really see beyond the fence. I have another kid who is only 3 foot, cannot see it, and then I have another person, and maybe a black male who can see well above, and another person who could just see that. Now, have I introduced diversity? Yes, I have. How do I introduce equity? I put a box at different levels so that we all see the same, exactly what we see, right? So that's equity. Now, what is inclusion? Inclusion means the kid who can see at the same level, he may not be able to express the enjoyment of the game as much as I, because he is new to it. What do? I can raise him big further so that he can see and appreciate better, because I'm far much more older, I've got experience, so I can enjoy and absorb. Does that make sense, right? So I want you to apply business. I know it's slightly complex, we have explained it, but I try to simplify that, right? So that's a lot about diversity and inclusion. Now, what am I doing from my perspective? And in the last 2 years, I took an aggressive approach and to change my method of actually employing consultants in my company. Previously, I would go normally for just people who have the skills and the qualifications. And of course, vast majority of those are going to be white male, okay, or maybe black male or black female, but of a certain caliber, maybe Ivy League. And in order to change that, I decided to educate 1,250 disadvantaged kids from different countries in the world, particularly India and Africa, where I put them through education. But what also happens is that I could also employ people who are fresh grads into
How
my
many
company.
people you said? Sorry, Simon. 1,000. You said?
1,250. Yeah,
Wow.
1,250. But it could be that I could employ people straight from university who don't have a job, but I believe that
Hmm.
potentially might have talent. And then what we do is we put them through the aggressive Simon Vandi, multi-facet, multi-head thinking uh, study regime, right? Whereby
Wow.
I train them to be financial analysts, business analysts, data scientists, compliance analysts, and domain experts, right? And
Hmm.
I always see, I remember when I recruited the first few, that was about 3 years back, and they were moving really slow in what they were doing, very smart, intelligent, moving slow. And I remember the first time when I said, no, this is not good enough. You can do better than that. They were like upset and no, Simon, we can't do. And I was like, listen, in your journey, there is a finishing line. Okay. That finishing line right now, you can't get to it because there's a lot of noise.
Right.
The ability and the true capability for you to be an artificial intelligence was completely changed from the day you were born, because you have the environment around you, people telling you cannot do this, people tell you work at this space, people tell you this. And the reason and what it really what it has is that it's created a person who is a being that is not an artificial intelligence person, but as a person who really has been, what's the word, has a virus, a malware of some sort, right? So what you need to do, go back to your creative side and unlearn, deconstruct what you've learned. Forget about what you learned at university. Take the
Yeah.
path that we're doing right now and then just enjoy it. Be yourself. Forget about me telling you what to do. Just enjoy it. Find your passion and enjoy it. And that creative side will come up and the genius will arise. And so I did that. I said them, work from home. Don't come to the office. Work from home. So everybody works from home, right?
Wow.
And then I gave them, like, you can make fun and you can do whatever it is you want. You can work any hours you want, flexible, as long as you meet this deadline. And I'm going to train you in everything that you want to do. I will put you on a course that we will train for 1 year. You're going to be a lot of case studies, but you're going to participate in many things. And we're going to keep
Wow.
on, I'm going to keep on pushing you against your limits. Sachin,
Sure.
I can tell you, one of the guys, this is the 2.5 year now, when he started, even though he had some amount of experience, he wasn't meeting the target of creating a financial model, evaluation model. Mostly people take about 2 months. For me, that's the good, because I can create one literally in a matter of a week or week and a half,
Wow.
right? So when I asked him to, it took about 2 months. That same guy today, I hope you get the chance to speak to him. He can do it in 4 to 5 days.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
I actually exposed him to conversations with people like JP Morgan, BlackRock, etc. And he blew them. They were like, whoa, this guy's smart. But he's not the only one. All of them are super smart. I call my workforce the Rainbow Nation. They embody what a diversity, equity, inclusion should be like. So from my perspective, I hope that I can do what I can do to change the narrative. Okay, that's my legacy. It's change the narrative, but not doing it with anger and frustration, like you did this to me, or you're being racist, or being that. And the reason why that is, I can't really judge people and their actions, really.
Right.
Spiritually, physically yes, but spiritually I can't. And the reason why that is, they have been constructed based upon the past. I need to be part of the process to help them to deconstruct, right? I call it,
Absolutely.
when I look at Africans, I call it deconstructing colonialism, right? So it's deconstructing that thought process, right? And you can do it positively, right? I have done that several times, even with our white counterparts, and everybody are deconstructed, and we are a Rainbow Nation.
I love that name, Rainbow Nation. So beautiful. And how long is the course you go through? Is it 1 year? You said 1 year.
Well, the course is 1 year intense course, but the courses are open for them for 3 years. So we do it like, we try to do like a graduate training, but it's a 1 year course, and it's open to them for 3 years. So after the 1 year, they can choose courses they want to do. they are expected to achieve at least 80% pass mark. They
Wow.
take every week.
Okay.
I know it is.
It's tougher than medical school, sounds like.
Yeah. They take exams every week. I mean, I do the same. I read a lot. I
Yeah,
mean, I read a
absolutely.
lot. Crazy. Yeah.
What are the age group on this? Like above 20 or
Hmm?
30 or like what is the age group like?
The age
The
group?
age.
Oh,
Yeah.
and they're no. I would say a lot of them are between 21 and 25.
Wow.
A lot of them. Of course, we have the senior consultants who are management consultants that we put out to work for the various investment banks or
Mm-hmm.
institutions or whatever it is. But I'm talking about the one that is about my change, my narrative for change. They're all in their
Sure.
20s. Yeah, they're all very young.
Wow. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. So I want to just get your company that you founded. And I'm interested. I'm looking at your website right now, Ecovdam, and I like to know more about it. Why you started this, and how you got started.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said to you, it's all to do with my inner child. Everything I do, I mean, you've been with me in IFS, and you'd understand that my approach in IFS was
Uh huh.
always really getting people to align themselves. I remember I was probably one of the most ridiculous coaches, screaming to people to say, "Put on your camera, come on, guys, smile." Right? Yeah, so I always try to break off the human element, but I always try to bring forth and become a true ambassador of what I believe in. I mean, I spend about 80% of my wage and really putting that forward. Always, I do that, right?
Sure.
And so I thought about how am I going to create these diversity, equity, inclusions for this peel of change. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought with Ecovdam. Ecovdam means ecosystem venture capital dam. A dam as a
Mm-hmm.
water dam, right? So we're all in the same dam together, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a dam that looks at the ecosystem. And of course, ecosystem is about the natural progression of life, where it's a symbiotic relationship, and everybody helping each other survive, right?
Sure. Of
With a
course.
balance in mind. So I decided to create that, and I thought I need to put the elements that I believe can help to put that forward. So for me, right at the right at the top of the ladder of change is regulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Regulation, not in a negative sense that people see it. I know many people don't like regulation, but believe it or not, regulation takes a progressive approach to change before it's
Mm-hmm.
done. This is why the
Mm-hmm.
regulators have what is referred to as a consultative paper and a discussionary paper. They put out something and they consult with you and say, this is our thought process. This is what people says. What do you think about this?
Sure.
Tell us how you do things, right? And
Right.
even before the regulations are sprouted, and they try to engage with the doers of
Mm-hmm.
change, right? It's very important to be part of that, because it's part of the economy is ours. It's a global economy. We need to be part of that process and provide as much data as possible so that the policies and procedures that are drawn up helps us. And Ecovdam really is about creating a level playing field of regulation,
Mm-hmm.
a regulation that really makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's through the fund structures, the fund thesis that we help create, we introduce an element that really
Sure.
supports that. Even our approach to valuations, take into consideration regulatory reserves and capital adequacy, whether it's the
Mm-hmm.
applications that we help build, their RegTech application. So FinTech is RegTech, right?
Mm-hmm.
RegTech is the improved version of RegTech, because we know that it's impossible to take all this huge amounts of regulation into our brain. It's impossible. Let's allow
Right.
the computer to do that, blockchain, AI, and all that stuff, right? So
Right.
each of them champions that as a RegTech accelerator, and
Mm-hmm.
and or should I say a venture studio accelerator, and that
Mm-hmm.
looks at elements of regulation, AI,
Mm-hmm.
and fundamental technical economic approach analysis to doing things. And we've been very, very successful
Mm-hmm.
because several of the consultants have worked for Fortune 50 companies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And on our website, we just put a few faces, but it's far much bigger than that. Most people don't like to to show their faces, etc. And we prefer
Sure.
not always to do. In fact, when we have meetings, it's Ecovdam Simon, Ecovdam this person, right? So very important, and for reasons of GDPR and all that stuff. But that's our approach. Has been very, very successful. Every meeting that we had has been a blessing, and whether it's in Europe here, aligning with our partners like MGI, after crypto capital, it's always been the ethos of developing an ecosystem with a level playing field.
So when you got started on this?
Which one? Ecovdam?
Ecovdam, yeah.
Ecovdam actually started about 6 years ago. But before that, it wasn't called Ecovdam, and it was called something else. And all those businesses were done through tactical innovations. Tactical innovations have been expanded in 2004. I just decided that I needed to change the name to reflect the elements of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but also embody and what I want to do, and from the fund management perspective, the venture studio perspective, and the people that I work with.
You're listening to the Dream Big and Think Different podcast with Dr. Sachin Maskey. Be sure to stop by SachinMaskeyMT.com to download a free copy of Dr. Maskey's book.
Sounds good. So I know Simon has a very deep, giving back is one of his thing. I wanted to know about your philanthropic mission and what you're doing, ultimately what you're trying to achieve. Can you share that?
Yes. So our perspective and approach is everything we do must come back to our mission. And our mission has always been the mission for change, the mission of changing the narrative of things and creating a world that is fair, that's safe, very balanced, giving everybody the opportunity to do everything. So, that what that means for me means participating in programs sometimes where I believe that I could request money to be paid, but I could give my services free of charge if I believe that some elements of that is embodied. So, for instance, IFS, right? And I went to IFS because Bridget Pennington started this stuff about giving fund managers and emerging fund managers the chance to become fund managers, irrespective of whether they were Ivy League or not. And so I saw it and thought, fine, let me do it. And I went there, I championed what I did, and I decided to be part of that moving and driving force of change. Because one thing I learned when I worked with some of the biggest banks, for instance, Deutsche Bank, is that the vast majorities of minorities, but people who are not from non-Ivy League, do want to go work for investment banks, but they feel that they can't because they will not fit in, or they will not be accepted. And one of the things we did was create something which is referred to as the Ivy Dream program, which is out of Martin Luther King, where we put out a request for many people from different backgrounds, men, women, to come and be part of the program, a 4 weeks program, where they got to learn everything, and at the end, and do a presentation. It was a very successful program, of which and increased the amount of people applying to go to the various investment banks, but also Oxford University and Cambridge University, right? And so that's one of the ways that my approach is be part of something and make a change. Another one was there's a program called the Windsor Fellowship Program, which was about really changing the lives of Black boys because of the huge amount of gun and knife crime there was in London, and they selected specific role models to help make that change, of which I was one of them case selected. That organization went forward, made a lot of change, grew up to a 20,000 membership, and was actually awarded the MBE by the late Queen of England, right, for contribution to society. And through that program, I went to schools, university, and gave lectures and talked about diversity inclusions and kind of empowered people, right? I also did that through different charities. I travel a lot all around the world. I go to Africa and I think about that change. Sometimes I visit destinations and see, how can Simon make a change? What can I do to make it? And I align myself.
Have you been to Nepal?
No, but I'm going to have to go there. I mean, I love your program up there. I've been to India. I was in Chennai for quite a while. And so I got the love for for India, which is why I help a lot within that area, right? So I really align myself with people. And so sometimes people think, well, I first came to you and I wanted you to be part of my fund, but you didn't, and now you've changed. It's, for me, is all going back to the inner child is, what is my purpose? What is it? Where do I want to be on that finishing line the day I die? And what would be my legacy? So I align myself with people the universe brings to me to align myself, which is why, again, I'm gonna go back to, I chose Zaid, right? Right? Zaid really aligns with my thought process. He's not about the money. He's really about helping people. That guy works tirelessly to really help different causes. He's president of a multi-faith organization in the United States, right? And he does a lot. And so I learn myself, and I want to be able to help as many people as possible, right? So if anybody out there who believes that I can be part of helping them make a change, whether it's from really being part of a program that can appreciate them and move them forward, or whether it means investing in specific structures or companies that really aligns with, a level playing field, and I'll be more than interested too. And for me, is what I'm going to say is that to people, don't get frustrated if you ask for something and it doesn't come immediately. I always pray about what I do. Okay, I always look for that click, the wind that says move. I keep people waiting not because I want to keep them waiting, but I keep them waiting because I haven't received that push to say, make it happen. And making it happen doesn't mean the investment side, right? Because I want to see the change. I want to see that they truly want it. I want to see them giving themselves selflessly towards the cause, right?
Absolutely.
You have to be selfless, not about, I want this, give me money, or this person wants to do that. We all need to understand that we all have a mission, right? And there are priorities in the way we move and do things, of which the universe clever how to do that, right? But the most important thing, let's connect and let's think about making change, whether it's now or in a year or your 2 or your 3 years, sons. I mean, I connected with somebody, we connected for 1 or 2 years. The change came 5 years later when I decided to do something amazing, because that was the right time, and it was right for them, right for me, right for the universe, right? But
of course,
I'm really, really would love to support so many people as possible. Of course, I'm only one person and I cannot tear myself aside, but that's the reason why we're there, right? It's not just about me, it's about them. I can also lean on them, right?
Yes.
Does that right?
I absolutely agree.
Exactly. I mean,
we all have
program. You might have a program that you might say, and part of the program could be that actually I can fly over and be part of the program, and maybe I can educate or teach or help to change mindset, right? It's always mindset over skill set. The skill set is nothing. You change the mindset of an individual and you create a very powerful weapon where they can do anything, right? I mean, I've got a kid in Africa who is only 16 years of age and builds toy cars, electronics and all that stuff, of which I give him money every month. But he always says, no, Mr. Simon, I need more money. I was like, no, you don't. If I give you money, you're not going to learn to manage. You're going to learn to expect. So manage what you have. That's what that's what being an entrepreneur is. And I said to him, for everything you do, I want to know what you have done for the people around you.
Of course. I love that. Couple of things you said, like let's connect and make a change, move the needle. Those are the big words. And I think we all need to hear that. And absolutely, very, very good. Wanted to, we're towards the end of our show right now. And I wanted to ask you, since we all talk about success all the time, I want to get back to your struggles you faced before. And what are the couple of things you can tell our emerging fund manager or any people in life generally to empower them?
Are you talking about fund manager or anybody else? Or fund manager, which one?
I mean, let's talk about fund managers, because that's what we are kind of doing right now. So
fine. Okay, this is what I'm going to say, because I see a lot of frustration in fund managers who approach and say, we want investment, and we want money. And if you don't, they walk away and say that person was a waste of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the question to you. How long have you spent being a doctor?
Almost 2 decades of my life.
Okay. If I came to you and you taught me how to be a doctor, but not a qualified doctor, and I knew what to do, I think I know what to do in 1 year's time, but I haven't been through your learning, would you put me at the operating table?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Right? Because it's far much more than just learning at the surface. There's a lot of depth that is required.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is the approach that wealth managers use. Wealth managers is about sustainability. It's about scalability. It's a level playing field and controlled. They have their clients' assets, of which every client has a risk profile, of which every client has an investment objective. When you come to them, they want to understand and assess whether you meet the criteria where their clients could tolerate risk, but looking at the economic standpoints, the fundamental standpoints, the technical standpoints, right? It's like a funnel. They look at that. They look at the market. What is happening in the market? What are the trends? What are the developments in technology, in ESG, right? And within that particular industry, what is the mentality of the people in the jurisdiction? What are the regulations that protect it? What's the size, the complexity of the business that you're dealing with? What is your expertise? What is the risk that potentially you can pose and the threat, etc.? Who are the stakeholders that you connect with? What are their risk levels? What regulations do they subscribe to, or what governance standards do they subscribe to? What are your adequacy arrangements in terms of corporate governance, conduct of business, redemption, reserves, stability? There's 1,001 equation that goes into that. I will never introduce anybody to any investors, just the same way you would introduce somebody to the operating table if they are not a fully fledged doctor. It doesn't mean they cannot be in some capacity. They can get to the stage of being, like in a law firm, a paralegal to solicitor, right? So what I'm saying is surround yourself with people who know what they're doing. Don't get angry and frustrated when somebody says no. That person has a credibility to sustain. I've been in this industry for 26 years, of which has been 26 years of seasoned experience, where I'm in the positions where I work with several banks and I help them to prevent fines from the regulator. I'm not going to really completely extinguish the flame that is burning in me, that God has given me to help people everywhere, but also to allow me to achieve my mission of creating this world which is balanced. If I do something wrong, what's going to happen is I'll never be in this business anymore. And that's the same approach people need to use. You have been brought to the table of being a fund manager. Enjoy it, embrace it, find the right counterparties that minimize the risks. Prepare yourself, prepare your data room, put it at the level that is perfect to some extent, so that when you do meet the investor, you are not only aligning with them, their thought process, but you meet the KPIs expected to have a tick box on their risk register, so that they know, no matter what under circumstances, you will be able to manage the potential fall if anything happens in the market, but also you'll be able to protect the clients. Knowledge is extremely key, right? Knowledge is key. The reason why knowledge is key is when knowledge is understood really well, it self-regulates itself, right? You know what to do. If I know that when it's green, I stop, and when it's when it's green, I move, and when it's red, I stop, I don't need to read it from anywhere else. Now, if anybody knows that, that's fine, right? So that's your approach we need to take, is that you have the possibility to be very successful. And yes, you don't need to have spent a huge amount of time to get this experience, because technology helps us to move faster. And also you have other parties you can bring to the table. So use that opportunity and use it well, and you can all be very, very successful. But be very patient and don't get angry when somebody tells you no. It doesn't mean that they don't believe in you. They are safeguarding their own reputation. I learned that from my mentor, Raymond McGuire, because I went to him and I was like, Raymond, I'm doing this. I would love you to do this. And he was like, no, Simon, no. Do you know the people you're working with? Because he has credibility. That's the reason why he's seasoned. He has credibility, and I'm his mentee, but he's not going to allow me to destroy that. And I respect him. I left that meeting. First, I was angry, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. But then I left. I thought, reflect on the moment. Understand what the universe is trying to tell you. Of all the people in the world, you're all the way in London, he's all the way in New York, you never would have met him. The universe aligned you. Why was that? Because the universe has a greater purpose for you. And the universe has put a teacher in front of you. You better absorb it and do something about it. So now what I do is that's what I do, I apply that, right? So I'm here to help people as much as possible. And even if fund managers just want to have a normal conversation, just about a talk, I'm willing to do that at no cost. Does that make sense, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that very, very powerful wisdom, and it will help a lot of people, and I really like that. So Simon, I have a question for. I'm curious. I mean, we have done so much, in your lifetime, and a lot more to come. What is the biggest win in your life so far, and how you define success?
Okay. So for me, success is achieving the one goal that you were created for, and achieving that. Once I achieve that, I consider myself successful. Nothing to do with money.
Sure.
Now, how can you measure success? You measure success when people gravitate to you, when you have a natural aura and you go in and people can see your light without not being disguised or diminished by your color, not being diminished by your experience, not being diminished by the way you dress. That is the true definition of success. It means that I have achieved, got to where I'm supposed to be, because I aligned to what it is that I was created to do. Right? That's how I define success. And I feel that I am experiencing that measure of success, because in everywhere I go, people gravitate towards me, and they're beginning to see the light in me as a true individual who wants to create change. So what I do is that people see me as a leader, somebody with leadership to create change. And for me, that's far much more better achievement than say I have made money and this. And of course, remember this, that true success brings the highest amount of capital if you want to think of money that you can have, because the capital
Absolutely.
is blind from an ESG perspective.
Yes.
And we see abundance of that, right? If the abundance is sustained, people come to you, they say it's leader, to the point that they want to pay for it. Of course, in certain cases, I wouldn't say no, but I can tell you that, I can tell you that we are doing great things right now, really great things, right? So for me, that's the definition of my success, is really doing what you were created to do and aligning with it without no shame, right? But doing it and never being influenced by people, but just going on that path, making it a reality and making change for people. It's not about me. It's about giving, right? Giving, right?
Wow.
It's about giving.
Love it, man. So, what is your biggest win so far? That was another question.
My biggest win so far, in what perspective?
Anything. What do you think?
Oh, wow. I would say my biggest win right now is really being, I'm not going to name names, but my biggest win right now is being in a very powerful position today that the biggest fund managers, hedge fund managers in the world look up to us.
Wow.
And guess what? We're actually just a startup.
Yes.
In that, we are in a room today, myself and my team, and we can command a room of 100 people, of the biggest hedge fund managers in the world, and we can out-talk them. We can answer all their questions. That, for me, that is a big, big win. It's unheard of.
Absolutely.
But also, I see ourselves in a position where we are dominating the space because we understand regulatory in some of the most difficult topics, which is crypto. Right? I think that's very important. And for us, it's all about safeguards. So for me, that is a huge win for us. Another big win for me is being able to achieve a Rainbow Nation in my company. I think my dad would be very proud. Right? for me,
we all are proud of you, man.
that's a really big win. Another big win for me as well is that being able to achieve a 50-50 split between men and women in the team that I have, but also putting women in a very powerful position to be leaders, right? So that's another big win. I mean, I can go on forever, but I think those ones are the ones I'm most proud of.
Thank you for saying. Guess what? We are coming towards the end of it. So I have a last question for you today.
Yeah.
And the question is, where?
Okay, I don't like to show off, but I'm allowed to show off just once.
Sure, definitely.
So another big win for us is that we got our offices at One World Trade Center, New York.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's definitely big win.
Exactly. I mean, you can see let me just show you. Right now, I'm not sure whether you can
The
see.
camera is not.
Camera flipped around. Oh,
No, it came
what?
through, but now I can see. Thank you
Can
for
you
doing
see-
this.
And you see it.
Absolutely, it's beautiful, man.
I mean, you can see the Statue of Liberty right down there, right?
Actually,
Now-
yes.
For a brand new company, I think we've done quite well, right?
Yes.
And guess
Congrats.
it happened by including diversity, right? We have
That's a
diverse
beautiful thing.
men and women of different color, right? Different feet.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's the power. Is that when you're diverse, the energy is there, right?
Right.
Isn't it amazing how some of these things that God gave us, the universe gave us, we don't see it, but you feel like you're doing something, and so you align and you feel blessed, right? And by the way, that is it's not a matter of showing that is the amount of money we've made. That's not what it is. What I was trying to show you is that the dream or the reality of doing something you felt you couldn't do because you're a person of color changes when you do what is right, because all the blessings of those people come back to you, right?
Absolutely.
So I hope it puts us in a very powerful position where we can really command change in our mission, in changing our missions, but also giving back to charitable causes.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I love what you're doing, and definitely honored to have you in our show, and really appreciate you sharing all this to us. So I do have a last question for you today. Where people can reach you, and what is the one thing you want to share today before you
Okay, so where people can reach me, you can reach me on LinkedIn. I love the LinkedIn. You know why? LinkedIn for me is a movement, means that people can connect with, but people can follow me. Now, why is that important? It helps me in a much more stronger pedestal to really drive my change, right? Where I can become an influencer. So LinkedIn is extremely important for me, Simon Vandi. And I would have given the email, but because it'll be flooded. We got lots of emails and cannot respond. But I would say you could also send an email to, where are we going to send it to? info@manhattanglobalinvestment.com. info@manhattan.global. info@manhattan.
What we can do is I can put in below the video,
Right there. And then the one thing I'm going to leave with you is that whatever it is that you do in life, remember, leaving a legacy is extremely important.
Absolutely.
There are two deaths that we can die. One is a natural death. The second death is when you are forgotten. So what is your legacy? Think about that.
Absolutely. So thank you, Simon, for sharing all the wisdom, all the hard work you've been doing for other people's life, making a difference. I really appreciate it, and it's honor. And again, looking forward to meeting in person. If you come to Boston, please visit my house.
I will.
Definitely looking forward for long-term relationship. Anyone listening today or watching this, please subscribe the channel, like and follow. And thank you for watching. And thank you very much, Simon, for your time.
Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Dream Big and Think Different. We hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss any gold nuggets. We would appreciate it if you could rate and leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. And be sure to stop by SachinMaskeyMD.com to download a free copy of Sachin's book. Until next time.